Hey folks, this is Vagrant and welcome back to Dredge. In the last video we explored the volcanic region to the northeast, the Devil's Spine I believe it's called. And oh, my boat is a little bit broken. We found this little reel thingamajig, this encrusted talisman throwing me 330% bonus fishing speed, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, we got the final artifact and we've come back to talk to the collector. I'm going to burn through my rest a little bit there. What is it? Okay, now, I'm feeling a little bit sick. I don't know if I'm sick or it's allergies or if it's because I keep doing these voices. The voices today are going to be a little bit higgledy-piggledy because my throat is not working at maximum efficiency, to say the very least. This is why I'm single. Tell me more about that book of yours. Which book? This one here? Is that even what his voice was? Now it's like John Wick. With a wry grin, he pulls a dusty tome from the nearest shelf and glances at the cover. There's really not much to be said of Histories of the Grey Isles. It's quite a chore. Don't play dumb, you know which book I mean. Play dumb? Your hypocrisy is wearying, I suppose. Ooh, weary. I feel quite weary. What's that from? You must help me. I feel quite weary. What's that from? Oh, always sunny. I suppose we must go through this rigmarole yet again. The Book of the Deep appears in his hands, sheathed in its dirty crimson jacket. Go ahead, ask us. Where did you get it? Sparkling dust motes hang in the air between you. Don't you remember? You were there. The air around the book begins to pulse rhythmically like a quickening heartbeat. So was she. Who? You wanted to forget, begged me. The room bristles. This is what you asked for. Give me the book. Your words hang in the spaces between. You won't change a thing. The book is ours. Step closer. You take a step closer through the crackling room. The collector lurches forward in response. What can you possibly hope to achieve? I'm going to take it. You strike out with your right fist, punching hard into the jaw of the collector. His face shatters and falls to the ground. Right, okay. I kind of had a feeling that's maybe what was going on there. You're pathetic. The Book of the Deep is in your hands. Understand this plainly before you sink us into despair. I know how to bring her back. It's all right there on the pages. And you've seen its power firsthand. We wield the power to release her from her slumber, find her last relic, and we can undo everything. Undo what you did. Okay, so the story really only clicked for me... One sec. Really only clicked for me the other day. The other night as I was thinking about it in bed. Actually, I think these messages. Right, the collector is us, right? Is our reflection, and we found the book originally. I think what happened. I think these messages are our messages. I think it's our boat. You know, it's a sailor, and they got married, and the collector keeps referring to her and she's gone now. And this was the last message. What's that? Where is it? Where My darling, I found you at last. When you left, I was scattered to the winds, but now I feel almost whole again. There's just one thing left to do. Throw me back. They mentioned the messages that were turning up everywhere. The scientist lass... Was it the scientist? It was somebody, I think, at the third place we went. Maybe the second. Maybe it was the scientist on the island. And they said that they kept finding letters from their missing sister. I think that missing sister was our wife. And I think it's this person here in the messages. And that basically, so the collector's like our reflection. We found the book. And the book is promising to bring her back to life. Basically, if we find these relics for the book and assumedly commit some terrible eldritch monstrosity, then it'll bring our dead wife back to life. That rhymes. It makes sense. We're in the same area. We're sailing around. It's the woman that we're missing. Yeah. In his eyes, I saw the void. Okay, so... Ooh. Let's go repair the boat. Wait. For glory. For my wife. Okay, so Wait, do I have a mark on the map? Oh, wait, do I have the book? No. Bear with me. I'm letting everyone know what's going down. This is the finale. It's a dramatic moment. Did I get the... I don't feel like I picked up the book. Huh? I've got the book. Okay. I wonder if I can take it to the old mayor. He was talking about throw it back. They've all been talking about throw it back. I feel like... And she's saying throw me back in the letter, right? So maybe... I feel like the spirit of our wife is in the area, basically. You know, she's still resonating through the area and able to communicate via messages in the bottles. And also... maybe through the book somewhat. I think she's within the book, and we think that by doing all this stuff and by completing this ritual will bring her back to life. But she's saying through the book, throw me back, don't do this. Because, you know, if you've played any Lovecraftian sort of game, you know that as soon as you complete the ritual, terrible, terrible things will happen. I'm going to go talk to the old mayor. Oh, actually, before we do that, let's talk to the lighthouse keeper as well, because she was talking about the same thing. And this would make a lot of sense. So the lighthouse keeper kept talking about, like, we thought we were new to this area, you know. Oh, we were the first one, you know, the first time we got here, it was like our first day, we were the new person, yada, yada, yada. But that's not what happened. We washed up on shore dramatically. Well, we didn't wash up on shore, but our boat crashed. Maybe that was after everything that happened. And the lighthouse keeper kept talking as though she knew us, and as though she knew why we were here and stuff like that. So I think she knows... I think she knew us prior to whatever went down with the wife, which we seemingly blame ourselves for. Lighthouse keeper. What is it? Oh, I've got the book. I've got the book. You've had it this whole time, have you not? See? It doesn't matter. Make the most of this window of lucidity. Now is the time to act. Do you still remember where it happened? In that gloomy darkness behind the bay? When you are ready, I'll point the way. I'm ready, Granny. Warning, you are entering the final phase of the game. Your progress will not be saved from this point onwards, so you wish to... Oh, cool. So we can... I think this is a multiple choice ending situation. So we can do this, and we can reload, and then we can follow the collector for the other ending. One more time. I love when games do this. I know this is a little bit immersion breaking, but imagine if this didn't happen and you were... It's nice to be able to do that kind of thing. Yes, let's go. We must wait until night is fittest, until the ocean as it was, all those years ago. So it's a long time ago, so we must have disappeared for a while, and then maybe the call of the sea brought us back, saying, we can bring her back. You know, it's a classic horror trope. You lose your... There's always a dead wife. There is always a dead wife every single time. There's never a dead husband. There's always a dead wife. There's a dead wife, and they desperately want to bring her back, and it leads them down the dark trail. It happens over and over again. Oh, I'm definitely a little sick. My throat is itchy. I'm sniffly, and my throat is going... It's time. I'll point the way. Follow my... And she's meant to be a nice, friendly woman. I'm making her into like an evil gremlin. Follow my light. No, see, I can't do old and not gremlin. Go and do what's right for her. Throw it back. See, that's what she wants. That's what my wife wants. So she can finally be at peace rather than... And this, again, is a very common trope in that if the spirit of that... Is it pointing the way? Well, I mean, there's a mark on the map anyway. If the spirit of the deceased is still knocking around, then they often don't want to be brought back. They kind of want to be just left at peace and for you to get on with your life. I think that's always the thing. Like, if you're married or whatever and your partner and you're going to die, right? You know you're going to die. You know there's a gremlin on the way to eat your face. If you know that's the case, whilst I'm sure you want your partner to mourn for an appropriate length of time, of course, you don't want to feel like you made no impact, surely. Eventually, you want them to get on with their lives. You don't want them to never meet someone else. If you truly love them, you want them to move on eventually. And it's probably the same kind of deal here. Okay. This is the place. Throw it back. The book struggles in your grasp, its weight somehow shifting from side to side. Silver ribbons flail pathetically against your fingers. Throw it back. You hold it high above your head. A low groan rumbles from the boat, echoed by another from the depths. Throw it back. You throw it into the foaming water. See you later, buddy. Whoa. Okay. I didn't expect Zilla from the 1998 hit film Godzilla to show up. Again, us dying is very in theme with this kind of thing. And I always really like voice actors. There's no voice acting in the game. What? Am I crazy? Have I lost my mind? When is there ever voice? I've been doing all the voices. I should be the only name up there. Have I lost my mind? Is the game meant for voice acting? I think I've lost my mind. I love killing a protagonist. You know, I've been dilly-dallying around with a book of my own for a little while. Made some progress this weekend, actually. And it was New Zealand, so it could well have been a kookaburra that I was hearing. Funny. And I love killing my protagonist near the end. There's a book. I'm going to spoil a very old book here, so warning, spoilers for Micro. If you haven't seen it by Michael Crichton, skip forward about 2 minutes to skip ahead the spoilers. But in Micro by Michael Crichton, it doesn't just kill the protagonist, it kills the protagonist about, like, halfway through the book or something like that. So when that happens, that's a proper surprise. So yeah, we died. We returned to the sea, and we died in the ocean, assumably where our wife died as well. And we have been laid to rest with her, swallowed by Zilla. I think that was meant to be the sea reclaiming us and reclaiming the book and kind of just putting an end to the whole thing. I'm not sure what that creature was. There have been tales, of course, of large creatures beneath the deep, so maybe now that it's inside that beast, we can feel that it's safe and nobody else is going to be able to mess around with that book. I wonder if that's what we found in the coffin. That's when the void entered our eyes. Okay, so if I click continue, am I back in front of the collector? I'll probably be at Greater Marrow, yeah. Okay, but that means what we can do now is go do the other ending, where we follow the rules of the book and see what happens. Nothing good. I mean, we died in the good ending, so let's see how the bad ending goes down. I reckon meeting the old mayor was probably important to this. I'm ready. We must make one final voyage. This time, I'll be with you. I'm ready. Warning! The relics are coming with us. We should wait for the fog to thicken. With luck, the seas will remain unaware of our intentions. Interesting. It's like this battle between the sea and the... I guess the book doesn't want us... The sea doesn't want us to bring them back. Now, our destination is the open expanse to the west of Greater Marrow. It's marked on the map. We must not tarry on the open waters, not with such significant cargo. Make haste! It is shaped the spears from the mirror. A chill rises in your body as you turn to leave. The collector is with you. My thought... I've occasionally thought it's a bit weird how the collector is so rigidly stuck in that doorway as well. There's a couple little behaviours that were a little bit... Yeah, something's going on here. Oh, God, I'm dying. This game has really got me into mood for like more eldritch stuff. For some reason, there's like a tendency to put Sherlock Holmes in eldritch Lovecraftian situations. I don't know why that's the case. Like, I know it's a logical thing, it's mystery and investigative, yada yada, and it's happened a few times. But every Sherlock Holmes game is like a Lovecraftian adventure these days, and there's a new Lovecraftian Sherlock Holmes game coming out in like a couple of days' time. I don't know if I'm going to play it. The problem is the new Star Wars game comes out in a few weeks, so I'm kind of like caught in two minds. This is the place. Again, he's in the porthole. It's me! I know what I look like. Grizzled and sexy. This is where she was taken from us, and where we can at least bring her back last. Only here, and only because of what we've achieved. You open the book, its pages are frosted with ice, and a chill mist rises around your fingers. You begin to read aloud. So it feels like the book is kind of like, a little bit like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings, in that it's kind of directing us, it kind of knows what it wants, it's kind of trying to get certain things out of us. Okay. To release a lost one, frozen in time, you throw the pocket watch overboard. And tethered by chains in the deep, you throw the necklace overboard. Bind them to this world once more. You throw the ring overboard. Open the door to the starry heavens. You slot the key into the lock of the music box and lay the weary world to rest. You throw the music box overboard, its key left unturned. See you later, buddy. There she is. And we have wrought destruction on the world. Well, we did get the wife back. Oh, yeah, there we go. All falls to pieces. Again, voice actors. I'm racking in my brain for when I've heard a single voice uttered in this entire game. Maybe it means for the fish and stuff like that. Things went badly. Again, that's more what I'd expect. I think I'd have been very disappointed if I didn't get the other ending. At least, you know, we died, but at least the world was saved. Or protected from ourselves, I suppose. I always feel this idea of, like, I don't know, summoning Lovecraftian behemoths from the deep. It's very strong for me. It's something I really enjoy as a concept. And it's very similar to what I was writing. I'll talk about it a little bit. We'll sail around. This is a very short video, so I'm just going to talk about my book for a little bit, explain what I was doing. I'm still hoping to write the exact same thing. I did write about the first 12,000 words. I just felt it was very, very slow-paced, and maybe it lacked a little bit of va-va-voom in the wider plot. So I was hoping to jazz it up a little bit. But you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think I have some va-va-voom. It's slow-paced and methodical, and I think that's okay. I took some time to try to be that kind of writer in a lot of ways. I always had a problem in the past where my books would zip along really quickly, and that's really cool if you're trying to build like a holiday book. If you're trying to, oh, you know what we should do? We should just try to get some fish we don't have. If you're trying to get like a holiday, I need cod, don't I? I've had the script. Let me check it. Encyclopedia. We need, oh god, blue mackerel. Okay, I need all the aberrations for the mackerel. So let's wait till daytime and fish some mackerel. So yeah, I always had a problem where my books always zip long. And if you're writing like a holiday book, you know, like a plain book, a beach book, whatever you want to call them, that's okay. Like zipping long is good because you want to keep people's interest, and that's the kind of book people like on their holidays. I always wanted to write something a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more introspective, and that's not me bigging myself up or anything. I needed a cod as well, didn't I? Yeah. It's just the truth, you know. That's what I was trying to achieve. I think one of my problems is I don't want to just write for the sake of writing. I want to write and feel like I'm saying something, you know, feel like I've got a point of view to get across, whether it's more realistic, whatever it is, you know. I want it to feel like I'm making a point and that it's not just there to entertain, but it's there to make you think and feel and introspect, etc., etc. I think we all want that, right? For our writing to mean something on a slightly deeper level. So, anyways, what was I saying? I'm going to talk about my book a little bit because it's very relevant to what's going on here. And it's kill time. So we hunt for some fishies. We're not going to fill the encyclopedia. This is going to be the final episode. When I've completed a game, my desire to do the whole hunt everything down, it diminishes greatly. It just is what it is. I'm going to really miss this game. I think it's been a fantastic game. One of my favorites in a long time. Just the combination of fishing and exploration. I know we maybe didn't explore as much as we could. I think we got a decent amount done. We probably got as much done as I would usually do in this kind of context. Would have liked to do maybe a little bit more. But the combination of the fishing and the eldritch stuff and the slowly unveiling story and all that, it's a really nice combo. There's some changes I would make to the game, but generally speaking, it was a really positive experience for me. And based on you folks at home, everyone else seems to have really enjoyed it as well. Oh, also, I heard that if you... Wait, let's do we'll get the cod and then we'll move on. Yeah, I really want to get writing again. This game has actually inspired me to start writing again as well, which is nice. So in my book, which is Lovecraftian inspired and eldritch in nature, that's the idea. It's about summoning old gods and religion and water and all this kind of jazz. So there is a... God, it's been so long, you know. Right, so apparently, if you use... what's that ability called? Atrophy. You're basically guaranteed a malignant fish. So there we go. Basically, we just need to find mackerel and sit there until the cooldown comes back up. I wonder... Actually, this is a good opportunity to do some science. Is the cooldown a cooldown? Is it time-based? Or... Like, will it come back if I just sit here? No, because obviously time isn't actually passing. Let's have a look at our new cod. Oh, God, I need to take my... I've got anti-allergy pills, so I need to take a couple. Deviantly sharp teeth with chunks of smaller fish lodged between, a hunger in its eyes. Right, anyways, there is... You know, it's been so long since... It's been months since I've written. I feel quite bad about it, actually, because I really enjoyed doing it. I don't even remember what the religion is called. Is it Hellenistic? Wait. Oh, I can't even do that. There were... Let me see if I can find my notes. No, people are being silly again. It's the Egyptian god. Right, there's a religion that's founded on the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god, I think it's Hermes. Hermeticism. Yeah, right. The Greeks found out about Thoth, the Egyptian god, and they basically renamed him. And they found this religion called Hermeticism. And Hermeticism it's not really actively practiced nowadays. I mean, I'm sure there are people practicing Hermeticism, don't get me wrong, but it's not like a major religion. Boop. There we go. See, this is a good way to do it. There we go. Go toss mackerel. Nice. I don't care if you're rotting. I'll just toss you overboard. But, you know. We just keep doing this. Keep going back, resting, and then popping another mackerel thing. We hit 90. We hit 90 out of 128. That is, again, as a semi-completionist, sometimes that's a good number for me. that's I've been pretty thorough, but not obsessive level of content, you know? And that's kind of my sweet spot. Anyways, there's a religion called Hermeticism, and Hermetics believe quite a lot of things. They believe that the mortal coil is deeply flawed, and there's a lot of stuff about progressing to like the next plane of existence, of ascending past your mortality, and all this kind of jazz. I'm not a Hermeticist, by the way. I'm just using it as context for my novel. I really like the idea of taking a real world religion, and I'm not making Hermeticism seem bad, I'm just using a corrupted version of it, essentially. But I like the idea of taking real-world information and then twisting it to use it as context for something a lot darker and a lot more horror-based. And Hermeticism fits really well with this. So Hermeticism is all about ascending the mortal coil, yada, yada, yada. Wait, let's try this again. There we go. Look at that, I mean! I'm not going to say I'm a genius, but I might be a genius. So, yeah, that's the idea. Lots of other things as well. There is the Emerald Text. Is it the Emerald Text where it says it, or is it in the Hermes Trismegistus? There's a quote from one of their creatures, their gods, Pomandrus, the Shepherd of Men. And the Shepherd of Men, in this context, is basically the creator and ender of life, and he helps people shepherd into the afterlife, into the above the mortal coil, into the higher planes of existence. There's like 4 or 5 sort of layers of existence, and Pomandrus shepherds people to that higher level. And my book is largely based on Pomandrus and his words. The book was called The Shepherd, very specifically, so... Oh, there we go! Hey, we got all 3 mackerels! Very cool. Don't particularly need to sell them. Alright, what else do we need? Well, what we'll do is we'll just spend this video trotting along, trying to get the fish that we're missing. Oh, actually, so let's go marrows. Marrows. I just want marrows. Marrows, 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 marrows. Okay, I think I've got all the normal fish in the marrows. I need the aberrations. We need an eel aberration. And we need a sailfish aberration and a stingray aberration. Okay. Wait, where do I get the stingray again? There, mate, it's just rare. Alright, cool. Let's go hunt down those abos. Where am I? I've gone so far away. Anyways. There's a thing I did, the holy text, and Pomandrus is speaking to this person who's ascending, and they're talking about the ascension. And the person who's ascending is talking about how they feel about the ascension, about what's going on. And it's a largely positive experience. Until you get to about 4 or 5 lines in, and then it talks about these black snakes coiling and this unending burning, and it makes it sound like a very violent, painful ascendance, basically. And I like the idea of that being left out of the sermons, left out of the talk, and, you know, basically they use... Oh, hello. Are you what I want? No, you're not. You're the flounder. I need a big boy. Or a little boy. You a big boy? There's only 2 of you. Yeah, okay. This works really well. This is very effective. Anyways, so that's part of it. But Hermeticists were big into the occult, into dark magic, into demonology, into stuff like that. They were actually hounded out by Christians in the, I want to say 1700s, because they practiced what was seen as occultism and dark magic and demonology and all this kind of jazz, stuff that Christians would just, you know, didn't fuck with, basically. Christians being Christians. Okay, there we go. Back to the marrows. I need an eel. I need a sailfish. Let's go try to find... Wait, sailfish. What time of day? Daytime only. Okay, let's go have a little look. I assume it's in the ocean. It's a sailfish after all. I think I've only ever seen 1 sailfish, so they're not common by any stretch. It's hard to talk and focus at the same time. I'm not sure I can pull it off, quite frankly. But, anyway. There is a book called the Ars Goetia. Oh, there we go. A book called the Ars Goetia. And, it is a grimoire, basically, a black grimoire. And it's essentially... Oh, there's eels here. Should we just... Yeah, you never know. Let's find out. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Boo. There's this book called The Ars Goetia. And it's basically a record of all the demons in hell, essentially. What they do, how they are, and their position, their role in hell. And it's nonsense, don't get me wrong. Of course it's utter nonsense, but that's what it is. It's meant to be a record of all the demons. And it's written, nobody knows who wrote it. There's a couple of theories, but nobody knows who wrote it. And it's based on a book that was released about 8 years earlier, which the name escapes me. I do have this all written down somewhere. I've got my research portion, but I've not worked on this in months, as I say. But it's based on this other book that was written 7 or 8 years earlier. And the former is also a list of demons. And it had, I think, 76 demons or something like that. Or 68 or something like that, and then the Ars Goetia has a few more. The Ars Goetia added 3 or 4 demons to the list and took a few off as well. So it's got a slightly different list. And most people think the Ars Goetia was written by someone who's basically just copied that earlier grimoire, chucked in a few of their own demons for fun, and then tried to flog it, basically. My basis for this, I don't know how I got into hermeticism. I don't know how I got into this as a whole idea, but one of the bases for this book is that the writer of the Ars Goetia wasn't... You know what, I can probably find my notes. Oh, here we go. Now, am I guaranteed to get the new one? It does look like that's the case, because like with the mackerels, we got the new one every time. Oh, there we go. It would not be that hard to... The problem, of course, isn't getting the aberrations. The problem is getting the fish that we don't have. A spine broken with sharp angles and crooked curves. A row of teeth bent on revenge. 95 out of 128. Not bad. I think that is the marrows completed. Okay, tiger mackerel. Gale Cliffs. Let's go that way. Anyways, so the idea was that he wasn't some liar. They didn't just invent this. They didn't make it up. But that basically these demons were actually speaking to them. They were... Actually, well, they weren't, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. He believed that these demons were speaking to him, so he added them into the book. And this guy eventually succumbed to these demonic whispers, as people often do in these Lovecraftian novels, and he moves to... Dolphins? He moves to dolphins. Don't think I'm into the gales yet. And he moves and he sets up a mining town under the guise of what these whispers are telling him to do. They want him to dig and dig and dig deeper, and they form this mine, and it forms a little town. Oh, what's the town called? I can't remember what the town's called. The town has a lovely name. There's blue slate everywhere. It's a whole thing. Let's find some mackerel. Actually, let's rest and then find some mackerel. I promise I've got lots more information than this. It's been so long since I wrote it. It's all blurry in my mind. But the idea is that basically he is now assisting this old god. He thinks it was a demon that was speaking to him, and he's... What's it is? He's sort of following their whims, not knowingly, as people often don't. But it's actually an old god. An old... Kind of like what we just saw at the end of this game. In the bad ending, it was an old god. And it was commanding him what to do. And he's been following it along. And he sets up a cult, a church in this town, and starts to preach the sermon of this old god. Again, leaving out some of the less pleasant details, shall we say, to try and convince people to follow and gain more bodies and gain more souls and gain more spirit for the as we just saw. These books are always about the resurrection of the old god, basically. They're always about bringing it back onto Earth so we can harvest. There is a creature or a god in Hermeticism, which I've kind of fused with Pomandrous for this one. I can't remember what it's called, but I call it Tiktaalik. Is it Tiktaalik or whatever? It means consume in Arabic. It's a slight twist on the word for consume in Arabic, which is where Hermeticism has a lot of roots. I'm sure none of this is making sense. And basically the idea is because Pomandrous creates these worlds, and that's seen as a positive. Pomandrous is not a negative figure in Hermeticism, but I'm fusing it with this other god, and the idea is, yes, Pomandrous creates these worlds and these people and this life, but he does that so he can feed on them later. So it's meant to be cosmic to an extent, like he's a world eater essentially. And God, the more I talk about it, the stupider it sounds. But I promise, when you hear it, it does make sense and it is cool. I'm really happy with the basal idea. And Pomandrous is going to feast, and basically he's trying to bring this old god back because it's now time for him to feast upon humanity, essentially, right? So that is very much the idea. There's a lot more to it than that, but the basis was that these missing words in the these missing demons in the Ars Goetia aren't a mistake. They aren't a trick. It's not someone just trying to make a quick buck, like history has decided, but it instead is somebody hearing the words of what he believes are these missing demons, and that's why he added them to the book in the first place. And that was kind of the jumping off point for everything else. And there's a lot of talk about Hermeticism in general. There's a Hermetic document called the Green Tablet, Emerald Tablet, and paraphrasing, but one of the lines is "as above, so below," and you may have heard of that. There's a film called "As Above." What is that? What are you? Oh, sturgeon. Do I have the weirdo sturgeon? I doubt it, because I think I've only ever caught one sturgeon. Translucent sturgeon. What was I saying? Anyways, so I've completely lost my train of thought. What was I saying? I genuinely have no recollection of what the last words that bloody sturgeon got me. I really have no idea. That's crazy. Anyways, that's the idea. And he's trying to bring back this old god so he can feast, and our protagonist is going to end up trying to stop him, basically. Oh, yes! The Emerald Tablet. The Emerald Text, the Emerald Tablet. This is a Hermetic document. And it says, "as above, so below." And you may have seen there is a horror film set in the French catacombs called "As Above, So Below," and that horror film is basically about zombies. It's interesting. It's "As Above, So Below," but the film, if you watch it and understand what the characters are going through, is actually about Dante and Dante's descent through the circles of hell in Dante's Inferno. And the film kind of riffs on that and plays with the same ideas as Dante's Inferno, but turns it into like a zombie-esque horror film, basically. Or more like the Descent style horror film, I would suggest, rather than zombies. Are you still following me? That's the voice acting right there. Where are these mackerel? But it doesn't necessarily have too much to do with the quote "as above, so below." I think they just use it because it sounds cool, and it sounds, as above, so below in the catacombs. It just sounds cool. It's not really that relevant to the quote. And what the quote is talking about, as above is the cosmos and below is Earth, essentially. And what it means is that changes in the cosmos, changes in the cosmic balance, yada yada yada. I'm pretty sure this is a guarantee, having tried this out multiple times. I'm just filling my inventory with mush. What it means is that changes in the cosmos, changes in the cosmic balance of things, the position of the planets, the whims of the old gods that reside in the cosmos, which again is a very Lovecraftian idea, they have a direct impact on what happens on Earth. And likewise, what happens on Earth and the changes that we do and what we do as humans can have a wider-reaching cosmic effect. As above, so below. Changes in the above affect the below, and vice versa. It's saying what happens in the above happens in the below, what happens in the below happens in the above, as above, so below. You see what I mean? So that's a fundamental part of it as well, in that this old god is here to try and harvest and feast and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, the cosmic having a very direct impact on the earthly, but also that we as humans and our protagonist, And deuteragonist. Deuteragonist is the word for your secondary protagonist, by the way, in case you hadn't heard that one before. It's a new word on me as well. You got your antagonist, who's your baddie, your protagonist, who's your goodie, and your deuteragonist, the deuteragonist, who is your, you know, as Dew would suggest, is your secondary protagonist. And tritagonist or probably terteragonist or tertiaragonist or something like that for the third. What else have we got here? How do I get stonefish? Okay, let's try to find a stonefish. But anyway, so the point is that they can also affect the cosmos. They can have a wide-ranging impact. They can change the world. Is that a stonefish? It's a wreckfish. Do I have the corrupted wreckfish? I don't feel like I did like tons of fishing around here, so. Oh, there's two of them. Sweet. Ah. I will eventually remember the button I'm looking for. Shattered oh, that looks awesome. Alright, very cool. What are we up to? 90. Okay, let's hit. We have to hit 100. We have to hit 100. Of course we do. We're looking for wreckfish. We're looking for stonefish. Right, I wish I'd known this. So I'd have been doing this for the entire game. Anyways. So that's the idea. And so my protagonist is returning to his hometown after a 20-year absence. Based loosely on myself. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And how I feel about hometowns. And moving and just all that kind of stuff. I'm very big on people moving out of their hometown. I think it's important for your growth as a human, as a person in general. And I have always personally been quite wary of staying in one place too long and stuff like that. And it's something I battle with on a negative way as well. And I kind of wish I could settle down in a place. I think that's a stonefish. I wish I could settle down somewhere and just live my life in a single place. And it's just not something I've ever pulled off to this point. Gelatinous stonefish. Because of that fear of getting stagnant and mediocrity and all this kind of jazz. And so the underlying theme of the book is also about stagnancy and momentum in your life, in that this town, this tiny little mining town, which is now, you know, the mining is all but stopped. The town is dead. You know, it's on its last legs. Barely hanging on. This tiny little mining town has been all but abandoned by the government. You know, there's no tourism, nobody goes there, nobody cares about this little town anymore. So it's allowed the stagnancy, the evil, to take root, basically. So, oh, actually, let's go talk to... I keep hearing that this mission is timed, and that... So basically, this little hooded guy's going to tell me where to go. Let's go check if he's there. But anyways, it's the idea that by not moving, by not changing, by not pushing forward at all, that things get stagnant, things decay, things rot, essentially, and the evil takes hold and kind of seeps into the core of the town itself, and that's going to be reflected in the citizens of said town, especially the ones who live near the mines. The mines, the whole point of the mines is to dig down into the earth, so they're closer to where the old god is slumbering, and build a resonance chamber to hopefully resurrect it. It all makes more sense in context, I promise. No, I don't promise that. It makes slightly more sense in context. I'm gonna bump on it. Yeah, I saw that coming. I thought this is where he was. He's not here anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, I would have gone from Gale to Stella, right? So wouldn't it make sense for him to be... Why are the lights on? Oh, it's a crab, that's why! So yeah, so that's the... You can have a wider plot, but you need the underlying theme, the underlying message that carries it forward, and that's the idea that stagnancy allows things to fester and to rot. And I believe that, like in your life, if you just stay in the same place and you don't try to change, you don't try to improve, you don't try to grow, you don't move... I don't need these stingrays. You know, you just stay in the same place and live your life over and over again, which some people are very happy to do, and personally it sounds terrifying to me. Although I'm trying to come accustomed to the idea. We'll get to that in a second. Well, the idea is that allows these negative emotions to form and to feast on you, essentially. Something seems off. The hooded figure is slumped. Long robe is billowing violently. You watch from a distance for some time but see no movement. You turn around and leave quite... Oh, he's dead. Okay, so they were indeed correct that you do need to... Person passed away. I was too slow. I got 2 out of 3. So yeah, that's the idea. But then the inverse of that. So the town is going through that. The town is malignant and rotting and stagnant and, you know, overgrown, and the people are suffering and yada yada yada. But the inverse of that is the inverse of that, in that if you never settle down, if you never stop and reside in a place for longer than 5 minutes, if you never put down roots, you know, if you're interested in a relationship, etc., etc., if you never stay somewhere for that as well, if you never find someone you love and you stay in that location, blah 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 blah, how much you miss out on life by doing that as well, by constantly running, by constantly searching for something new. You miss out on stuff as well. It's always a trade-off. You know, you don't gain without losing. Both sides have their negatives, and I think trying to find the balance of the two is something I've really struggled with my entire life, and I lean far too much towards the latter rather than the former. And it's a big thing for me nowadays, and one reason I'm probably staying here for the next year at least, to try and balance the latter with the former, in that I can stay in one location. Because it's... Oh, that's cool. Oh, you can actually still use it. It's just very slow. Oh, that's... I'm glad we saw that right at the end of the game. What are you? Fangtooth. Do I have a fangtooth thingy? It's our gelatinous stonefish. Flesh and scales intent on shuffling away from a creature struggling to maintain its mortal form. Coastal, right? I've kind of forgotten what it was, if I'm honest. Oh, it was oceanic, not coastal. Wait, not coastal. I'm missing quite a lot of ocean. Oh, it's a sunfish! Oh, look at that! Look at that ray! What a beast! Oh, and the hammerhead. Well, I do want to see the sunfish aberration. But yeah, I really struggled with that for a long time, personally. Trying to find that balance between moving and not moving. And I think being able to stay in one place, build a life there, you know, friends, family, all that. Because, like, my social life has suffered so much from how much I've moved in my life. Because all my friends are now scattered around the world. Which has its benefits. You know, I've got friends all over the country. I can go anywhere, but I don't really have any here because I don't live here. I just moved here randomly. And that's been the case for my entire life. After university, I moved to Manchester. I didn't know anyone who lived in Manchester. Not a single person. Why did I move to Manchester? It's about trying to... And then, you know, if I try to make friends in an area, it feels pointless because I end up moving anyway. So it's about trying to stay in one place and actually build friendships, I want a relationship. I want to get married and kids and all that malarkey eventually. So trying to get hold of that as well. And just feeling like someone's a home. This is something I mentioned before, but it's been a long time since I felt I had a home. I always lived in houses, but a home, that's a very different prospect and not something I felt in a really, really long time. And I want that. I do want to feel that. But I also want to travel and I want to keep moving forward. I want to grow and change and break and suffer and all this kind of stuff. So trying to find that balance is very important to me. And the point is, whilst the town in the novel is stagnant and malignant and rotting and festering, our protagonist has the opposite problem in that they keep moving and they don't settle down, and it's kind of like a shark, you know, where if it stops moving, it dies. That's kind of how I've always felt in a lot of ways. Did I need the eel? I did, didn't I? No, I got the same one again. Boo. So... Oh, I didn't repair my thing. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. He's gone through the opposite thing. He's kind of feeling like, you know, every writer puts themselves into their book. And the underlying themes, well, one of the major underlying themes at the very least, what am I doing? Is that battle between those two desires, the desire to move forward and the desire to stay static, you know? So, rot, the final state of all living things. Very appropriate, Fishmonger, thank you. I don't know how you do it every day. These old bones wouldn't cut it on the high seas. Just figured you should hear the voice acting one more time for the Fishmonger. How many are we on to? Are we on 100? Because I have to stop if we're on 100. Maybe I can't catch any more fish. It would seem silly to ruin a beautiful 101. 100. 101's got a bit of charm to it as well. But yeah, so that's like the underlying thematic core of the book and what drives our character and what drives the plot. And then there's the twist on hermeticism and the old god and trying to stop that old god over the top. One of my concerns, of course, was I'm 12,000 words into this. So the character is returning to his hometown. His parents have both passed away. Well, now they have, his mother has just died, and he's returning to his hometown for the funeral of his mother. There's a little bit of guilt there as well about not talking to your parents, about not interacting with your parents. My relationship with my mum, who I love deeply, is still, I haven't seen her in a while now. It's not as strong as it should be, and that's both of our faults. She's done things, and I have issues with traveling and meeting people at the moment, so that's a thing for me as well. But the point is, it's kind of on both of us, and I wish it was stronger. What are you? You're an angel. A rat tail. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I don't have my thing. Right, I'm going to swim around in circles until I get atrophy back. Let's have a little look at it in the encyclopedia. Found at great depths, these are the most abundant of all deep-sea fish. They gather in large numbers around structures in the deep. I figured if we come to an unknown area and actually bother to fish, I'll find a new fish. So I'm glad that worked out basically instantly for me. So there's a little bit about that as well, about familial guilt. He's returning to his hometown that he's long abandoned. He has no family there anymore. And he's just coming back for his funeral. It reminds me, funnily enough, I just started reading The Dry last night. And funnily enough, it's a vaguely similar situation in that the main character is returning to their town just for a funeral. Now, I hadn't read The Dry until yesterday, and I started writing my book months ago. So it's clearly just a very common idea. What do we get here? The congealed rat tail. Very sexy. Right, let's go have a little rest. He's just returning for the night. And meets an old friend and gets pulled into this mystery. And I'm 12,000 words in. Ish. And so far, he's gone to the town and he's at the funeral. I think the sermon's just been held at the church. And that's it. After 12,000 words. There was one minor encounter with a creature residing in one of the old houses. What are you? I think I've probably not had your corrupted version either. What are you again? You know what, let's just do it. Oh, I can't even do it yet. So he gets sort of pulled into the mystery, lured in by his old friend. And the idea is, so like the town is sitting on this hill above this bay, this curved bay of blue slate. And that's what it mined. It used to mine blue slate back in the day. And the closer the townspeople are to the mine on one side of the town, the more the town is falling into decay and decrepit, and the people inside are the very far side, the people right by where the mine would be in the forest nearby, they're just completely falling apart. They've lost their humanity. They're being corrupted by the presence of this old god, basically. And he has not seen one, but had an encounter. Ooh, ossified sea robin. Ossification is a scary thing. Like, you see, the bone. So he's had an encounter so far with one of the people behind a locked door, basically. Heard some whispers and went to help someone out, and they were screaming from inside the house, calling for help, but in an angry sort of way. And then he went to the funeral, and now he's just run into the friend, and I have to write like another character. Like, that's where I'm like, oh no, I'm starting to struggle. He went to a shop, and there was a cat. The shopkeeper was gone. I don't know, like, I love some of the ideas, and I love the playing with the hermeticism. Twisted shark. And, like, turning it into, just taking a real world thing. You know, this is all true. The Ars Gotia and all that, that's all true. That actually happened. that you can look that up. That book exists, and the missing demons, all of that in the new demon, that all exists. That's all a Proof-Lass, I think the new demon's called. That is all a real thing. Nobody knows who wrote the Ars Goetia. That's a real thing. Hermeticism's roots in demonology. That's all real. The Seal of Solomon, which is going to be important in the book. King Solomon is a figure in Hermeticism, also a figure in Christianity. There's a lot of overlap, and Judaism. There's a lot of crossover with Judaism as well. King Solomon contained the demons and sealed them away, and he was like a heroic figure for that, and he has a specific seal that's used to contain demonic energies, but he was actually containing, obviously, this old god, and we're going to bring in his seal in the book. It's kind of Dan Brown. I don't love Dan... Oh, hello! I don't love Dan Brown as a writer anymore, but I used to be really into him, and that is one thing he does very well. He looks for potential gaps in history and says, okay, let's put something there. And I love that idea as a foundation for the book, because you can then, afterwards, you can go and research all this stuff and you'll see, hey, that's true, or that's true, or that's true. And it gives your book a really nice grounding in realism, which you can then twist and turn into something altogether different. So there's that's the more I've talked about it, the more I've thought, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I really like here. I just need to start putting pen to paper again. Yesterday was the reading of his mother's will. Most of the remaining estate went directly to him, of course, but to my surprise, he bequeathed me her pocket watch. Curious, I'm not fond of the thing, but I know that taking it will mean a lot to him. I can't help but feel there's some veiled jab at me from beyond the grave. She was the type to do such a thing. Was I late on some occasion? I cannot recall. So I wonder if that is, as it probably is, the same pocket watch. Let's throw this in and hope for the best. Boo! The same pocket watch from, from this whole story, essentially, that we threw into the ocean. I haven't heard mention of a music box, I don't think. Pocket watch, music box, necklace, which I assume he gave her, and a ring, which I'm assuming is the wedding ring. Anyways, we will end it there. That has been me prattling on about my book. I haven't talked about it in ages. I think I'm going to go back and write it. I might have to reword some things. Oh, my character's also an abhorrent alcoholic, by the way. Because that's how some people survive. I always had a thing where I felt like I always had to have music on or TV on as I was going to sleep, because that's the only way I could get the intrusive thoughts to shut the fuck up. And my character very largely has the same thing. He just drowns it in alcohol instead. And I like flawed protagonists. It's all a little cliche, I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And the more I say it out loud, like, the only unique thing it really has going is this ties to Hermeticism and the way I'm twisting the history. I don't think anyone ever has probably played with this very specific part of history in this way. But story-wise, it's a slightly depressed alcoholic middle-aged white guy who goes to his old town and quells an eldritch horror. That's very much not something out of the ordinary. So the more I think about that, the more I think maybe it's time to twist that formula up somehow. There's a saying in screenwriting that you can either write a familiar thing in an unfamiliar way, or you can write an unfamiliar thing in a familiar way. I don't mind writing in that familiar way, because I don't think my prose is particularly unfamiliar, but maybe I need to find a more unfamiliar story to tell beneath all of that. I want things to get a little crazier. I want it to start off, it's just this guy going to his hometown, things are slightly odd for this funeral, and that's it, slightly odd. And it goes from there, and it just ramps slowly. I want it to feel like the book is crawling into your skin until you don't even realise it's there, and suddenly things are absolutely fucked up and disgusting and bizarre and cosmic and, spanning galaxies, and it's come from such humble beginnings, and that really ties into the as above so below. I think things need to get weirder later on, and if I have some weird stuff going down, I'll be happy enough. I've got some ideas. I'm going to do a chapter, spoilers, the father of the deuteragonist is still alive, but he's going to die at some point during the book, and he's going to be one of the ones who succumbs to this this corruption, this the whispers of the old god, essentially. And I'm going to write a chapter entirely from his perspective, so it's going to hopefully show his slow loss of humanity, his last vestiges of humanity slipping away, and he's desperately trying to grasp onto them and grasp onto the memories of his daughter and his family. as his body is collapsing and as his mind is collapsing, and he's going off to worship this old god despite himself. I think that could be a really interesting chapter. Anywho, we'll end it there. Thank you very much for joining me for Dredge. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I think it's a phenomenal little game. Definitely some little things I would improve and change. I think it needs more of an end game. And the last 2 areas, maybe it's just because I got better at the game, admittedly, but the Devil's Spine and the Twisted Strand felt short compared to the other 2, but it probably is just because I learned how the game works, admittedly. There's a couple of annoying things. I would have liked to be able to put my own map markers on. That seems like a very good thing for a game like this. You know, it makes a lot of sense for a ship captain to be able to mark the map where they want to go. You know, if I could mark like a grid that I want to visit, that would have been great. And the ending was a little short, potentially, but I had a really good time. And it's a lovely little game, and if they ever release any DLC or anything like that, I'll definitely be back and playing it. I don't see what they would do for DLC, realistically, given the ending of the game. Maybe just a whole new region that expands on the story a little bit, throws in some more fish. That could be cool. That could be cool. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed the playthrough. I don't know what we're going to do next. We're either going to wait for Star Wars and just do double Zelda again, or I'm going to play the Sherlock Holmes thing, or we're going to play something else entirely. I don't know at this point in time. We'll have to wait and see. I've been burnt out a little bit on Zelda, so I'd like to avoid double episodes. So we will probably play something else and end up playing Star Wars a little bit late, but we'll have to wait and see. Thank you for joining me. Cheers much up as always. Bye-bye.